My name is Tim, and this is the Sojourning Writer. First, this is just an introduction, so you can know where I'm coming from to see if I could help you in your own writing. So, first, a little bit about myself. I was homeschooled, got my GED, and graduated from Rowan University. I spent some time doing emergency response training in Texas and Army infantry training in Georgia. I volunteered as an EMT for a few years and worked as a security officer for almost a decade. Made it all the way up to becoming a supervisor. Now, one of the things you will notice is that I'm not a writing expert. Apart from a single creative writing class in college, I have no formal training. So, you might be asking, why am I starting a YouTube channel about writing? Honestly, I felt called to do it. And no, I don't have a book I'm trying to sell. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not my purpose of this channel. While I do have my own work in progresses, they're at least a year from publication, so there's no point in even discussing them. Now, what do I bring to the table? Experience. I love to learn. And as you can see, I've had a wide and varied set of experiences. Everything from hiking in the mountains of Kentucky to cleaning up after a Class 5 tornado in Arkansas. I've also done scuba diving in Florida and visited the Bavarian Mountains in Germany. I have taken the advice of writers and read wide and deep. Everything from economics to history to anthropology. I have researched just so that I could write better, deeper, fuller stories. Everything from the rising of Queen Boudicca and the Ensini tribe to more recent conflicts like Chris Kyle's American Sniper. Also read books on the Vietnam War, economics by Thomas Sowell. Like I said, I love to read. And I think I could really help writers add depth to the stories that you're trying to tell. One of the big problems that I see in today's writing sphere is that so often we get caught up in our own reading. We get caught up in reading only fiction. My personal experience is that most writers only read their genre. The problem is that by only sampling a small pool of the information that's out there, it really inhibits our ability to tell convincing, deep stories that impact the readers that we are trying to touch. One of the greatest creators, the previous generation, a man by the name of, now forgive me for butchering his name, Hayao Miyazaki, the director of animated movies like Howl's Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro, and Spirited Away, was attributed to say, anime was a mistake, it's nothing but trash. Now, it is misattributed, but if we actually take a look at the actual quote, it really provides a good understanding of the dangers of getting sucked into our own genres without reaching out. He said, you see, whether you can draw like this or not, being able to think up this kind of design, it depends on whether or not you can say to yourself, oh yeah, girls exist like this in real life. If you don't spend the time watching real people, you can't do this because you've never seen it. Some people spend their lives interested in only themselves. Almost all Japanese animation is produced with hardly any basis taken from observing real people, It's produced by humans who can't stand looking at other humans, and that's why the industry is full of otaku. Basically, what he's saying is that writers, Japanese animation writers, the issue is that because they don't have an understanding of reality, they can't take that reality that they see in the actual world and they put it into their stories. This comes with tropes that keep on getting reused and overdone. And this is what I'm trying to avoid for you. Be able to step outside our own comfort zones, to learn things that we wouldn't have even thought to pay attention to. So much of our world is so complex that it's so easy just to toss it out and think that we know best based off the little information that we have. Now, this is informed by my own religious perspective. As a Christian, I grew up in a Baptist church, so faith helps me see beyond what I see physically. And this allows me to understand the depth and complexity that the world we inhabit has. Now, this also drives me to seek out truth. And coupled with that truth is empathy and love that we are called to show for those around us. And that's what I want to be for you guys. I want to be the loving signpost pointing you down ways that you never thought about to how you can add more to your own story. What my hope for this channel is to basically help and encourage writers to step beyond their comforts so that they can positively impact their readers. In addition, they would be able to help other writers experience the truth and depth of reality that so often gets neglected. Now, empathy and truth have to be the guiding principles of every writer. Without truth, how can we communicate with the people around us? Communication requires a shared reality. In addition to that, empathy undergirds that truth and allows us to connect emotionally to those around us, that we are able to show them deeper truths than what we would basically understand to be seen today. Each week I plan on talking about different topics and ideas that will help writers see things from a different light and offer writers a chance to put that into practice. Not only will we be talking about the different ideas and topics in the video, but we will also take time to practice those so that we're able to see how those ideas can be put forth and added to our own writing. We take these ideas, these experiences, and techniques, and we use them in our writing so that we can be more precise about how we do it. Because it's not enough just to learn how to do something, but also have to put it into practice. Without the practice of daily discipline, we will never be able to reach beyond that which we currently experience. To go back to the idea of truth for a moment, there are two types of truths. There's perceived truths, such as one sports team being better than the other. The other is a factual truth, such as a lit stove will burn an unprotected hand. As a writer, we are to challenge perceived truths to make sure that they align with reality, or factual truths. While everybody has a different perspective on what truth is, the best way to connect to readers is by presenting the same truth they understand. For example, if you told a story about a wealthy person who made a lot of money, it wouldn't have the same impact as if it was a poor person making a lot of money. See movies like Slumdog Millionaire or The Pursuit of Happiness. But in both movies, the protagonists didn't get their money by stealing or killing, but through their own hard work. This is a connection that each one of us understands, that we recognize that sometimes we really have to dig deep and push to survive. So often stories are about overcoming, and that's what connects each and every one of us. So what does it mean to be successful as a writer? In my opinion, to have a measured impact in the world around them. Most of the time, this is done by creating characters that inspire their readers. The best way to do this is by having a shared vision of reality, though there are times when a writer finds that a character they saw as a mockery of an ideal, or one that was created to show pointlessness of virtues, seems to resonate with readers in unexpected ways. There are two ways people relate to characters. First, they desire to emulate them. This is what Superman was. He wasn't something that we were trying to put ourselves into, but rather an ideal we were striving for. The second is to see ourselves in them, to step into their shoes. One thing to note is that when a writer seeks to put themselves in the story, the chances are readers will become disinterested in that character. Now, that's not to say that every reader will dismiss the character, but the majority of them will. While writers might not like it, how the majority of people interpret their stories we write will end up being how they're understood, even if it's not their original intention. My opinion, writers should not just be writing, but also learning. And for me, there are three categories that I believe are crucial for writers to develop so they can mature as writers. First is your mind. This is where our personal experiences inform our writing, where the writer who grew up in a house full of drugs, alcohol, and abuse are able to give first-hand experiences that they can draw from to add depth to their stories, compared to a writer who hadn't gone through that experience. The second is body, sort of like muscle memory. Here we learn ways to improve our style and form in writing to help readers understand what we are trying to say. And at the end of the day, if the reader doesn't understand what the writer is trying to say, then chances are the writer failed to communicate properly. It's too easy for writers to blame the reader when in the end, chances are we failed to properly make ourselves understood. And if we go down the path where we are blaming our readers for misunderstanding our own words, we fall into the trap that we may never come out of. At the end, writing, as is with every other skill, is about improving, it's about growing, it's about experiencing. Hence the title of my channel. The idea of sojourning is not just something where you're just staying in one spot, but continual growth that you are able to push on and grow. The last one is soul. This is where the stories we have seen and read have an impact in our stories and how we tell them. Now, this doesn't mean that we're copying and pasting from different stories, but rather we are interpreting the stories that we have read to add better ways that we can touch our readers. Each week, we're going to be looking at one of these categories and looking at something that will deepen our understanding of that category. For instance, the first one is mind. We will be looking at the Understand Yourself personality test, which is based on the big 5 categories: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Here I will go through and take the test, and once the test is complete, we will go through and use the test to create characters based on the big 5. This will allow us to add depth to our characters and prevent us from creating cardboard cutouts that are so common in so many people's writing. We will also be looking at other nonfiction books like autobiographies, documentaries, books on medical interventions, bush survival, or economics. The next category is body. This is where we'll be looking at something like Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. It was first published in 1918. It's probably one of the oldest books still in use by colleges and universities. Now, while it might not fit with everything we understand with modern writing, it is still foundational to how we interact with each other when it comes to our writing. It's always better to go back to our basics, to our foundations, and build up from there so we can tell a more coherent story. Now, other sources that we will be looking at are skill books, writing skill books, classes, textbooks, YouTubers, and TikTokers that have gone out and added value to the world by sharing their own experiences. We will be looking at them and seeing if we can learn from what they have taught us. My goal with that is that not only will you be able to learn from the one video that I will be showing, but you might be able to find somebody else who you can learn from, who you resonate with. Now, the last category is soul. Now, a lot of people don't believe in the idea of soul, but if you substitute the idea of soul with instinct, you come near enough to the truth. In this section, we will be reading from accomplished writers to learn as if we were being mentored by them, by looking directly at their works. The first book we will be looking at J.R.R. Tolkien's translation of Beowulf, one of the first pieces of European storytelling and the grandfather of modern fantasy. In addition, we will also be looking at movies, TV shows, songs, and even commercials to see if there are ways we can expand our writing skills. Well, thank you for visiting the channel, and hopefully you'll be able to learn something from the video today. Please let me know if there's any topic, book, TV show, movie, or anything else that you would like discussed. My name is Tim, and this has been The Sojourning Writer.
I am a poor, wayfaring stranger. I'm traveling through this world of woe. Yet there's no sickness, toil, nor danger in that bright land to which I go.